What's the most impactful thing I can do to add value to my children's lives now that they're grown up?
Be yourself, your true self, by following the formula. That's what it's for. If you are not being your true self, then who are they in a relationship with? Simple as that. Keep going. Everything will fall into place. Everything that is relevant and important in your life, every appointment you've made, every agreement that you've made will be kept if you just keep moving forward and allow your life to unfold in the perfect timing in which you have designed it.
Allow yourself and your duty as a parent to be clear that the idea that you love them is already clear, but the ideas of how you express the concept of love may need to be brought into alignment. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just talking generalities. The idea is that children are completely implicitly trusting of the parent, and they receive whatever they receive from the parent as if it were the perfect symbol or representation of the parent's love. Now, if the parent is sending negative ego belief systems down that avenue toward the child, then the child will start to interpret negative belief system ego structures as a symbol of love, and that will be the only symbol the child will know, and the only symbol the child will themselves be able to express in life until they get a handle on how to bring that back into alignment with symbols that are more positively representative of the underlying current of unconditional love that is always there. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right.
Going further, you were talking about children being older souls that are coming here as the teachers.
Yes, especially now in this day and age, many of the children being born on your planet and that have been being born now for about the last 20 years or so are, in a sense, not only a new generation, they are actually a different species. And it is representative of souls that have a lot of experience in many of them, that are cross-connecting to many different experiences in many different parallel realities. And by the genetic alteration that is happening within them as they restructure their embryonic bodies, they are creating a genetic structure that will give rise to a personality structure that will not forget as much of who they are as beings, as whole beings, as spirits.
You are serving in the hybridization agenda by having donated genetic material. You're serving in the hybrid agenda by teaching the hybrid children some of the things they need to know when they come to live among humans on Earth. They are attempting to get your attention to understand the purpose that you are providing for the evolution of humanity in general, though there may be some specific messages from time to time. But they are also sending to us a technique for you that may put you in clearer touch with the communications from the mantis beings, and that is to draw them. And while you are drawing them, consider the drawing of them a type of meditation. And in that meditation, allow yourself to just open up to what you'll receive by looking at the drawing as you're creating it, and even looking at the drawing and meditating on it as you have finished the drawing. That's a technique that can work for you.
I have 3 physical children right now. I know that they are hybridized.
You're all hybridized.
Yes, yeah. And I know they're more advanced, being.
They're just more awake.
More awake. Can you give us some guidelines or coaching on how to coexist with them and how to raise them in alignment where they're at?
Create educational programs that allow for higher degrees of interactivity so that they can actually learn by doing. Create programs where in a safe environment they can understand the consequences of the choices and actions that they take so that they can grow into adulthood knowing that they can only need to take choices and only need to take actions that are representative of their self-empowerment, and they don't need to hurt themselves or anyone else to get what they need. Allow yourselves to adapt the education that they may require to what excites them instead of attempting to adapt their excitement to the lessons that you think they need to learn. If you do even just these 3 things, you will have an educational system that will allow them to really remember who they are and become the adults that are balanced in emotion, in spirit, in body, in mind, and they will then transform the world.
And in a day-to-day basis, since, like, for example, myself is programmed differently compared to them.
Well, you need to reprogram yourself.
So how will I raise them on a day-to-day basis?
Use your imagination. Follow your own excitement. You understand why it's important to do that, yes?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
And if you follow your own excitement and act on it every moment that you can,
with no insistence on the outcome to the best of your ability, you will open up the kit of excitement for yourself that supports you, that is the driving engine, that is the organizing principle, that is the path of least resistance, that is the connection to all other forms of excitement, that is the reflective mirror that shows you what's out of alignment with excitement within you so you can bring it back into alignment. And when you do that for yourself, you will be the vibrational state that will allow your imagination to download the inspiration, ideas, techniques, rituals, motivations that you need to pass along to them.
For starting to really implementing your teachings in our education, in our schools and universities and...
The basic metaphysical principles that we talk about are not ours. We deliver them in a specific way, yes. But the idea is that this is a basic understanding of metaphysics, a basic understanding of how existence is structured and how it works. The timing for introducing the ideas that we're talking about into your educational system, now! Why wait?
Great, thanks.
The idea is to create more interactivity for the children so that they learn by actually doing, yes? Instead of just being talked at. To allow the lessons to be adapted to what excites each child instead of attempting to adapt their excitement into the lesson. Yes?
Yes.
Teaching them the consequences of their actions and the consequences of their choices in a safe, protected environment so that they can learn the basic tools of how to manifest reality in a way that allows them to become experts at it by the time they're adults. Yes?
Yes.
These are the tools and techniques of education. So, why wait?
Okay.
Teach them that they are self-empowered. Teach them that they are as powerful as they need to be already to manifest whatever it is that is truly relevant for them in their lives in a joyful, creative, loving way without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in order to get what they need. Teach them that they are that powerful.
Some of them find it interesting how often we eat.
Yes.
And yeah, and my toddler is the same way. I mean, it's very difficult to get him to sit down at the table and eat.
Yes.
But if he doesn't eat, he gets hungry, and that can lead to other challenges. So my question is there a better way to handle meal time with young children?
Well, the idea, first and foremost, is that many of them may require a lighter diet in terms of what it is they eat. You can explore with the child what it is they may be excited or attracted to at certain times when they are hungry. The idea can be worked through in discussions, in conversations. And you can use your creative imagination to, shall we say, describe the different foods that probably are beneficial for them in ways that get them excited about them. You can make up stories about them in terms of what their abilities are, what they will give to the body, what they will allow the child to experience if they incorporate those substances in their body. Remember, the idea of teaching a child requires the parent and the teacher to be as creative and imaginative as a child in coming up with how to have a conversation that really gives the child an understanding from a different perspective about what certain foods will do for the child to help them thrive and sustain their viability in physical reality. So it's up to you to be creative with the stories about what the different foods will do.
More of a guidance or an example when I see children that they are so exciting playing those violent games or watching even the Disney Channel where sometimes it doesn't seem to be very
Turn
positive.
the issue around and start rewarding them for creating and constructing positive community rather than destruction. They are now being rewarded for creating destruction. Reward them for creating construction. Remind them that if they really wish to express power, true power is in creating. It takes no power to destroy.
Okay.
You can have a stack of blocks. It takes more power to build the stack than it does to push it over. You understand?
Yes.
So you can begin to teach them and reinvent games that entrain them to understand that they will be more rewarded and more expansive in their abilities
by being rewarded for creating and building connection and community than by destroying and disassembling.
If you have a situation as parent that your children is maybe have troubles and they run into many troubles, but you can't help them because they don't listen to you, like teenagers,
All right. Again, first of all, you're talking about a situation that is the result of a buildup of all sorts of belief systems for many years.
Okay.
The idea in general is to understand them by understanding how things work, so that you give them a safe space in which to experience the consequences of the choices that they make, so they can learn what those consequences are without really experiencing them too strongly. And you create interactivity in your imagination with them to allow them to understand they are as powerful already as they need to be to attract whatever they need in life without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in the process to do that. And you allow yourself to have the imagination as a parent and a teacher to design the lesson that you believe they need to learn in a way that adapts to their excitement instead of trying to force their excitement to adapt to the lesson. Do you understand? Then they will want to learn. Then they will want to understand how to make choices in a positive and constructive way. But for years and years, your planet and your teaching system has taught them things that don't allow them to understand their connection to source, their self-empowerment, their freedom to choose, the consequences of choices, or the idea that they can live their excitement and learn everything they need to learn through the auspices of their excitement instead of dampening their excitement to fit into a mold.
So if your children hang out with kids that use drugs or something, you just kind of let them?
It's the result of belief in disempowerment.
Okay.
Because remember, addiction of any kind or attraction to addiction of any kind in the negative sense is because you feel there is something missing within you that you are trying to either fill with something that never will fill it or dull the sensation that you're missing something so that you don't have to pay attention to it. Because that's a scary place, and that's what a lot of your teenagers feel. And they don't understand what it is because they've never been taught how to connect to their own self-empowered connection.
So how do we help them?
You, as the parent and the teachers, have to have an understanding of how this works, as we've explained it, and you have to have the ability to create, with your imagination, dialogues and situations and circumstances for them that allow them to practice making choices and experiencing or understanding what those consequences are in a way that is safe for them before they actually do that out in what you call the real world. But you have to create those things for them as the parents and the teachers.
But if they don't listen to you?
Not now, no. But you have to be clever enough to figure a way around that, and one of the ways is what we suggest. You have to understand what excites them, and you have to speak to them in their own language of excitement so that you are clever enough to adapt the lesson to their excitement. They may not even know what you're doing that, but you have to be the one that's imaginative and clever enough to know how to do it.
Can we talk to them in the sleep or, like...
That's what, well, now see, you came up with that interesting imagination idea. Talk to them in their sleep. What's wrong with that? That came from your imagination.
Okay. Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you. And by the way, don't forget the unconditional love.
Does that mean children have limiting beliefs and that's why they're abused? Or is there a different reason? Was it a choice by the soul to incarnate, to have particular experiences? Because how can a child who is still natural, still in touch with nature, have such negative belief systems?
Well, first of all, there cannot be one general answer for this because it depends upon the particular person and soul and the theme they are exploring. So there can be many reasons for those kinds of experiences. One reason can be that a soul might actually choose to have that experience because it might add to the overall collective experience of abuse and help it reach a point where your society will finally agree that such a thing should never happen again. So a soul might add to the pile of experiences knowing that by doing so, you might reach a tipping point sooner that would allow your society to change and not have those experiences from that point forward. Other children might simply pick upon the belief systems of their parents and thus harbor limiting beliefs that come from their parents because they may need to use those limiting beliefs to push against in order to transform negative experiences in their lives into more positive ones by having chosen things to push against to propel them in a more positive direction. So again, you have to kind of take it on a case-by-case, person-by-person, child-by-child basis as to why they might be experiencing certain things either of their choosing or from the belief systems that might be ensconced in their unconscious mind that they may have picked up from parents or society or schooling or friends that demonstrate that these things exist in your society to give you an opportunity to see them more clearly and to decide what to do about changing those experiences on your planet in the future.
No.
Okay.
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that you create a sense of continuity to this concept called the past, and therefore you can use it in a variety of ways if you wish to help you move forward. That's viable. At the same time, it doesn't really exist. You have been taught to think that it does because of your space-time perspective and this idea called continuity that makes you think there is an actual linear connection between the past and the present, when there really isn't. You are creating your past from the present, not the other way around. So when you become a new person, every moment that you change anything about yourself, you're a new person. And that means you actually at that moment have a new past. The past you had to have had to make sense in space and time of how you became the person you now are. So the idea is that you're not actually creating things or holding on to things from the past, in a sense, technically speaking. But what you're doing every moment that you redefine yourself is you are including that concept over and over and over again, that something came from your childhood. But it didn't necessarily come from your childhood anymore because you have been a new person and you're creating a new past that didn't necessarily have the experience you're talking about. So you don't have to keep connecting to it. Now, for some people on your planet, that's a lot to wrap their minds around, and they may not be able to do it that way. So there are other techniques, many other permission slips you can use, even using the idea that there is something that happened in childhood that is still causing trauma. Fine. You can go that route if you want, and there are many techniques to help you through it. But I'm just simply telling you mechanically what's actually happening is there's no such thing.
What is the secret to a long-lasting marriage?
Communication, clear communication, support, and allowing each being in the relationship to see reflections that will allow them to become more of who they truly are. Not any imposition of suppositions or insistences or assumptions about what they should be, but to allow them to become more of who they truly are. And that happens through support and clear communication, investigation of deep belief systems, why people choose to do what they choose to do, to understand each other and support each other in ways that allow each of the people in the relationship, again, as we said, to become more of who they truly are, to find their self-empowerment.
Would you say that patience might have something to do with it?
No patience is required. The only reason you require patience is because you're being impatient, because you think you know better than someone else and they're not doing what you want them to do.
Thank you.
We have this concept called karma. And
Yes.
So what is karma exactly?
Good question. Shall I answer?
Please.
Thank you. Number one, karma is completely self-imposed. Number two, karma and the concept of reincarnation is again an illusion. It is simultaneous incarnations in parallel realities. Thus, any concept of anything that connects one life to another, such as the concept you call karma, or, if you wish, energy balancing, is simply the product of the idea of, from the present life, you decided to create energetic cross-connections, cross-links to other simultaneously existing parallel realities because for some reason, based on the theme that you chose to explore in this life, you believe that cross-connecting energetically to those other simultaneous lives and downloading information from them, what you call memories, would serve you in the exploration of the particular theme of this life, just as those other lives are also cross-connecting to you and other lives to download information that they need to explore the themes they chose to explore by being those people in those lives that exist simultaneously with you. So karma is your decision to create a blueprint, in a sense, of connection to other life experiences going on at the same time that you believe are designed to serve the theme of the challenges you wish to explore in this life to allow you to grow as a soul and a spirit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that answer the question sufficiently?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bashar. Bashar.
And good day to you.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I want to start by thanking you for all you have done and are doing.
All right. Well, we thank you also for the co-creation of these interactions. Speak up.
I want to say how much of a great change my life has been because of learning information that you've passed on. I have two questions. One before I start, I understand if you're not able to answer it. And I want to, before I ask the question, I wanted to be clear that as a result of the experience, I've completely grown and changed.
All right. Well, thank you for choosing to do that. Because no matter how much information we share with all of you, none of you have to take it to heart. It's up to you to decide what to incorporate within your being, and therefore any change going on is something that you have done. We are happy to provide an opportunity, but you have to make the choice to actually absorb that information, and the change happens because of you, not because of us.
You're amazing, and thank you again.
All right, if you say so.
My experience involves the energy project I was working on back in 2011.
Yes.
I thought that I would involve a friend of mine who's involved in Dr. Stephen Greer's group.
Yes.
So that I could have more people, and when it was completed, I would give it to them, and it would be a way to bring it out to the world.
Oh, all right. And?
Once I put myself on the map with being involved with that team on some incredibly hardcore, you could say, things started happening in the dream state, in the subconscious state.
Guys,
there were these two, I call them the two. They used to come in all the time and do incredibly gruesome, terrible things.
Such as?
I'd rather not go into detail.
Oh, all right.
They're just too terrible.
If you say so.
Worst motion picture movie stuff that you've ever seen,
Yet many people on your planet love going to horror movies.
It's terrible stuff. Maybe when I was a kid, but now I have a different respect.
Oh, all right.
Subconscious.
Very exciting.
Yeah. I learned that there was always a magnetic field associated when they would come in.
Yes. Is there a question here?
The question is, do those two originate? Did they originate from some form of technology on this planet? Were they two people sitting behind some desk somewhere?
No.
Or was this coming from who? What is the
It comes from another dimensional realm that you yourself are in touch with. And in a sense, they are giving you an opportunity to face all the different negative belief systems that are going on within your personality structure so that you can transform them and integrate them in a positive way. Understand that no matter what anyone else's intention is toward you, you always, all of you, have the opportunity to decide that only a positive effect will result for you in your life regarding any experience, because your physical reality is only the product of how you define it. And if you define it in a positive way, you'll only get a positive experience from it, no matter whether someone else has a negative intention toward you or not. That's how it works. That's physics. So get in touch with the fears that they bring up within you so that you can allow yourself to define the definitions that are causing those fears, because all emotion comes from something you believe to be true first. You can't have a feeling without defining something to be true first. Therefore, if you have a feeling of fear, it means you have a definition that is causing the fear. Find out what it is, identify it, and let it go. And then you will find that these experiences can turn around for you in a very positive and constructive way and allow you to become more self-empowered if you use it that way, all right?
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
So my extensive time travel hasn't been much, but I would say...
As we said, you are all time traveling all the time. That's what creates the effect called time. So you're all time travelers, whether you know it or not. That's the way you create your physical reality experience.
Gotcha. Maybe I phrased that wrong. The time traveling that I've noticed the most is when I've smoked dimethyltryptamine.
Yes.
Can you speak about how dimethyltryptamine...
N-dimethyltryptamine is produced by the pineal gland naturally in your brain and is responsible for your ability to actually perceive other dimensions more clearly. This is why the idea of the dream dimension activates more DMT in your pineal gland when you are sleeping. And those active times of the production of that substance in your brain is generally between what you call your 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. hour. Thus, then, most of the interdimensional dreams will occur at that time because you are perceiving into other realities more clearly. Now, of course, you can learn to enhance this in a variety of ways, be it the utilization of the substance itself or the idea of meditation or a variety of other techniques, tools, and rituals, which we simply call permission slips. Because all tools, techniques, and rituals and objects are simply permission slips that allow you to give yourself permission to be more of who you are. Once you use a teacher, once you use a guide or a substance to allow you to understand the frequency state, the state of being that is represented by that substance, then in a sense, you actually no longer need the substance because you can simply generate that frequency state, and in acting from that frequency state can have a life that is more representative of that particular resonant level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed that, in fact, in my dream states, I only had a limited experiences with the DMT, but since then, my dream states have changed.
Yes.
One such was actually yesterday when I arrived here. I took a little nap, and in my dream, I had a crazy Serbian chiropractor stick something in my face and said, "This will check your age." And
yes.
It blew air in my face, and I woke up gasping. And
Yes.
sort of the odd thing was, I looked at myself in the mirror, and
Yes.
I appeared to be younger.
Yes. This is actually what you call a memory of something that has already occurred. It's just that you're now at a place where it's all right for you to remember it and all right for you to create the effect that goes along with the recognition of that particular interaction. Because time, as we say, while it is a real experience, is still nonetheless mechanically an illusion. And therefore, how you see yourself will be how you define yourself. And if you have now been defined differently by recalling that particular experience, then you will see yourself and perceive yourself differently as well. And so will others.
Thank you.
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My name is Preston Nichols.
If you insist.
Yep. Author of the Montauk Project.
Speak up, speak up, and be bold.
I got a question. What happened to Tabor? T-A-B-O-R. Can you tune in on that, sir?
That particular nomenclature is not identified in the vocabulary of the channel. Therefore, there is no translation on our side. You see, I'm not speaking your language. I'm simply sending thoughts and using the channel as a translation device. And therefore, if there's no definition in the channel's vocabulary, it doesn't translate on this side. If you can provide a definition, it may be something we can tap into.
Okay, the function is in the supercomputer that runs this reality. It's one of the executive programs. And on the 23rd of March, it disappeared. I can only find fragments of it. Does this give you any more information, sir?
One moment. We perceive that portions of it were shifted to a parallel reality, but portions remained.
Okay, that would fit what I'm seeing.
Does that help you?
Yeah, okay, you're saying I have to look in other parallel realities for the rest of this intelligence.
In that sense, if you shift your vibration to the concept of that intelligence, it may pull you into the parallel reality in which the majority of it exists.
Yeah, because this intelligence has been very important to my work.
Then
And
perhaps
right-
it is, in a sense, luring you like a carrot or a magnet into another frequency.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
I just got my question answered, so I will switch. From where you're at, could you check? I have just worked out the mathematics of universes, and could you check and see how close I'm on them?
Mathematics of universes.
Yes.
Well, first of all, our civilization doesn't necessarily handle mathematics exactly the same way that yours does.
Don't worry, I don't either.
All right. We will give you our understanding of the idea of what you might call the geometry of universes.
You're right, it is geometries.
Yes. Our expression would be what we call the prime radiant. This idea can be explained by analogy by the following illustration. Understanding, of course, that this is simply an analogous illustration.
If you could give me a picture, I'll look at it.
The picture is this. Imagine a completely infinite, empty, black void. Have you got that?
Easy.
Now, imagine a single subatomic particle in the void, and that's all there is.
Okay.
Have you got that?
No problem.
All right. Now, because there is nothing else but this single subatomic particle, no laws apply to it. If it wants to, it can move at infinite speed. Therefore, you will understand that if it can move at infinite speed, it can be anywhere and in fact can be everywhere within the entirety of the infinite void all at once. So if it traces a certain geometric crystalline-like pattern overlapping its own path again and again and again in certain ways, where it overlaps the least will be what you consider to be empty space. Where it overlaps the most will be the densification of matter. But the idea is that this creates all parallel realities, all time frames, all dimensions of experience. This one single particle appears next to itself so quickly, you think it's two particles, you think it's three particles, you think it's 4, 5, 6, a billion, a trillion, a quadrillion particles, but it's all the same particle. Every single one of you, every single one of us, every single star, every single planet, every single chair, every single tree is made of literally not the same kind of particle, literally the same one particle.
Okay. That's
in the ultimate time-sharing event.
Okay. Because you don't have to share time.
And in deep appreciation, we will now begin this transmission with what we have titled The Formula. Many of you have heard us talk about how important it is, how crucial it is to act on your highest passion, follow your highest excitement. And we have delved into, from many different directions, why this is crucial in life. Because excitement is the vibration, your physical translation of the vibration of your true self, your true frequency. It is also your physical body's translation of communication from the higher mind. That's how it translates. When the higher mind is communicating with you, it translates as that sensation you call excitement, creativity, love, passion, joy. But the idea is that we have perceived that sometimes there can be some misunderstandings, a little bit of lack of clarity about the specifics of following the formula, the three-part formula that we have often delivered. The three-part formula being that you act on your highest passion every moment that you can, to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further, with absolutely zero insistence or assumption as to what the outcome ought to be, how you need to get where you're going, or any such specific idea being held on to. This three-part formula, as we have said, will activate the kit of excitement, the complete kit that contains all the tools necessary. But in these three parts, we have discovered that sometimes there perhaps are different interpretations about what those different parts actually represent or refer to. So today, we would like to dig a little deeper, delve a little deeper, and explain, based on what you have before you as your handout, some more specific ideas about what each segment actually refers to. This may not even necessarily be everything, every specific detail, but it will be a good start to help clarify the concept a little bit more. So, Nania, do you have your handout? Come up and read, if you will be willing to assist. All right. All right. So, under the first part of the formula, to act on your passion, what is the first subheading? Everyone can follow along.
You're talking about number 1, right?
Yes.
Okay. Take action on the opportunity that contains the highest excitement.
Yes, that's the principle itself. What is the first subheading?
The highest excitement doesn't have to come in the form of a project or a career.
Yes. This is very important to understand because very often people will say, well, I don't know what my excitement is. And often they are thinking that it has to come in a specific recognizable form, some kind of a life-spanning career or long-term project, or come with trumpets blowing. No. When we talk about the idea of acting on your excitement, your highest excitement, we mean it can be as simple as every moment of every day you have a number of options available to you that you are able to take some action on. Very basic, very simple. It can be reading a book, having lunch with a friend, talking to someone, taking a walk on the beach. Whatever option contains even just a little bit more excitement than any other option at that level, that's the one to act on first. Because the more excitement it contains than any other is telling you through the synchronicity tool of excitement that this is the order in which to act on these options. The one that contains the most excitement, that has the greatest ability to be acted upon, is the first one to act on. And it can be step by step, very simple. When you do that, it may lead to larger and larger and larger representations of excitement coming in different forms that will be more apparent, more obvious to you. But really all we mean is you can take it a step at a time on every level, even the most basic level, and just at every moment act on the one that contains the most excitement, more than any other excitement you have the greatest ability to do something about. That's really all it means, step by step, and it will lead to other representations and other experiences and other opportunities that will allow you to express your excitement in grander ways. And the next subheading
is, as long as an option contains even a little more excitement than any other option, act on it first.
That's as we just said. Again, this is easy to do. We will assume, we may be wrong, but we will assume that you're all here today because this is what it excited you to do. But when you leave this transmission, this interaction today, again, you will have a number of options available to you. The only thing you need to do to activate this principle is just look at all the options and just choose to act on the one that contains more excitement than any other, even if it's only just a little bit. That will be your clue and your indication that comes first. Because again, one of the tools, as we will point out again later, is that excitement carries the organizing principle through synchronicity. And it will show you exactly in what order things need to be done, when they need to be done, and thus anything that doesn't fit in that day when you're done doesn't need to be done that day. It truly organizes your life automatically. The next subheading.
Excitement is your body's physical translation of a communication from your higher mind.
People on your planet ask all the time, how can I get a sign from my higher mind? How can I learn to communicate with my higher mind? How can I learn to recognize communication from it? I don't know. It must be difficult. Not at all. The things that excite you the most is actually your translation of that communication. So, when you're willing to act on the thing that contains the highest excitement, that is actually you paying attention to the message from your higher mind that's guiding you from a higher position, a broader point of view, saying, do this now, do this next, do this next. This is the order that works best for you. And when you act on that excitement to the best of your ability, with zero insistence on the outcome, that is actually your response to the higher mind. That's going, I hear you loud and clear, and so I will act on that, knowing that you are guiding me. And when you then respond to the higher mind through that action, because you are physical, so action must be taken to demonstrate your commitment to receive that communication from the higher mind. When you do that, then the higher mind knows you're listening, knows you're paying attention, and it can start giving you more things to act on that contain more excitement. But if you're not paying attention, if you're not acting on the excitement that it presents to you, that it communicates to you, why should it give you more? It would be pointless. So the higher mind will always wait for you to demonstrate that you've heard the higher mind through the translation of excitement, and that you are willing to respond to the higher mind through your actions. And then you start that dialogue going, and you start the ball rolling, and you start the momentum, and it will accelerate and accelerate and expand from there. And next,
check your beliefs to make sure you aren't making anxiety appear to be excitement.
This is crucial because many people will be afraid to face their fears because of negative belief systems within themselves
themselves about what it is they think they will encounter if they go exploring those things. And so many times they will gloss those anxieties, those fear-based beliefs over. They will ignore them. They will deny that they're there. They will not want to explore them, not want to admit that they're there. And so even though they may actually be feeling anxious, they may attempt to avoid looking at it or investigating it by making it appear or labeling it as my excitement. You have to be very clear in discerning within yourself what is truly excitement-based and what may be anxiety or fear-based. This is absolutely crucial, as is its reciprocal.
Which is, check your beliefs to make sure you aren't making excitement appear to be anxiety through you're able to take action on.
Again, you will come to crossroads in acting on your excitement when it seems the excitement is exhausted, when it seems there is nothing else you can do, you've taken it as far as you can. Then again, when you come to those crossroads, you just repeat the process. You look around for the options that are available to you at that moment on any level, and you simply act on the one that contains more excitement than any other. And you keep repeating that process over and over and over and over and over and over again. And if you always do that, then your life will always be as exciting as it possibly can be at that moment, because you're always choosing the thing that contains more excitement than anything else. And you just keep on doing that. And why? Because you have given yourself no other choice, no reason to choose anything else. That's why. And that's as simple as it needs to be. And
recognize the signs, reflections, and agreements that indicate an inability to take action.
Again, this comes back down to the definitions of what ability means. Now, each and every one of you has different abilities. Each and every one of you has a different relationship with the collective. Each and every one of you may have different ways of doing things, and so what works for you may not work for someone else, and vice versa. So you have to really be aware of what your abilities are and what the synchronicity of your reality shows you are able to actually do and not do. And
physical parameters, laws of society, moral values, and ethical standards can all indicate whether or not you have the ability to take action.
This is the biggest one that needs the most clarification on your planet. Now, some of them are relatively obvious. Physical parameters. If you are literally, physically unable to take action on something for whatever reason, then that means you are unable to take action on it, and that is as good as a crossroads. It's as good as an arrow pointing in another direction, saying this direction that you are unable to act on is not the path of least resistance. So please don't stand there banging your head against a brick wall. Turn left, turn right, go around, do something else. Choose another thing that excites you. The things that may look like obstacles physically are not obstacles. They're road signs guiding you that you need to turn left, you need to turn right, you need to turn around, here and now. And that actually will be the path of least resistance. Please remember that even though the path may seem to be winding and longer than another path you could take, if it is actually the path of least resistance, it will actually be the fastest path. Because even though another path may look shorter, if it's not the path of least resistance, it will take you longer to walk it. So don't be afraid of the winding path. If it's your true path, it will actually allow you to go with the flow much more easily. Now, the idea again of what your society in general has agreed are different kinds of ethical and moral parameters are important for you to pay attention to because you agreed to be part of this society. We understand that many times people on your planet don't necessarily agree or see the same things in the same way, morally or ethically or even legally. But the idea is to understand that if you are part of a society that in general has agreed that these things are in place for the general benefit of that society, then you have to be very, very, very clear about why you might think it's important to go against the grain of that moral imperative, that ethical structure, or those legal standards called laws, because if you go against them just because you can't see any other way, then you're just not being creative or imaginative enough. The idea to understand is that you are part of that society and you agreed to be. If you do not approve of certain laws or ethical standards, then you have every right to change them in whatever way works within your society to do so. But just violating them is not the way to do it, and the idea that the law or ethical standard exists is a sign and an indication that you don't have the ability to go in that direction. You need to see it as clearly as you would see a brick wall, again, simply being an arrow pointing in an unexpected direction that is actually representative of the path of least resistance. Let us add another example to this that we have become aware of, because this particular idea has been bandied about in your society now for quite a while, and specifically we will use the example of what is called copyright law, since this seems to be a hotbed topic in your society. The idea that we have talked about that you call pirating material that doesn't belong to you is a perfect illustration of what we are saying here. There have been some individuals in your society that have come back with what you might loosely call a rebuttal to this concept of obeying the copyright laws by saying, but there have been all sorts of laws in society that we really shouldn't have followed. For example, at one point, slavery was legal. Should we follow those laws? This is really not a correct argument and is really very surface-oriented and actually misses the point. The difference between that scenario and what you are calling the copyright laws is not apples and oranges, it is apples and broccoli. It is two completely different concepts. The idea, first and foremost, and the basic understanding here is that, yes, we understand that there can be what you would call unjust laws in your society, and that there may be people who resist those and go against them and fight to change them in a variety of ways. And sometimes civil disobedience is one of those ways that you have available to you. But the real misunderstanding in that so-called argument, which is not really an argument at all, is the difference between the two ideas. Because what you would call slavery is designed to take people's rights away. Copyright law is designed to protect people's rights. That's the difference. And so such an argument simply means the person hasn't really thought it through. It is just what you would call a knee-jerk reaction to something they want to do, and they're simply creating an excuse in their minds or a reason to break laws that actually benefit your society and are actually just laws. So be very, very clear about the idea when you bring up arguments like that and reasons like that within your own mind as to whether they actually are relevant or not, or whether you're actually missing the point on a very basic level. And the next principle.
Okay, so now we're actually on principle number 3 of the formula, which is act on that excitement with absolutely zero insistence or assumption with respect to a specific outcome.
And the first sub-principle is?
Understand that insistence on a specific outcome, manifestation, or path may actually prevent a better manifestation than you imagined. Fear-based definition.
Yes, many people on your planet will not be willing to act on their excitement because of fear-based definitions of what they think will happen if they do. Something bad will happen, or this will happen, or I'll lose this, or people will laugh at me, or judge me, or I won't belong, and everyone will walk away from me, and many other different kinds of fear-based beliefs if you are actually acting on your excitement. But the idea then is to, again, in the reverse, make sure that you are not dampening down your excitement, the things that could actually be what will give you the best possible life, just because you have a definition that isn't actually a definition of excitement.
This is the irony. This is the paradox, is many people say, well, yes, I would love to act on my highest excitement, but if I do, I'm afraid that something bad will happen. That's not a definition of excitement. It's a different definition. You have to understand that in the purest form, excitement, by definition, cannot contain anything that would actually create a negative experience. So if you're making an association of a negative potential experience to the idea of excitement, then the definition you have created is actually not a real definition of excitement. It's a different kind of definition based on that fear-based belief. So be clear within yourself that you are not damping down your excitement by having an erroneous definition of it, by attaching negative definitions to it that don't belong there. Does this make sense to you? I'm sorry? Yes. Thank you. And so, the next principle?
All right, the next, number 2,
Yes.
is act on that excitement to the best of your ability.
All right, now, as you can see in this diagram, there is a lot of clarification in this particular section, because there are many different interpretations on your planet from different people about what acting on it to the best of your ability actually means. What is the first subheading?
Well, the first subheading is use all your skills, talents, imagination, and abilities in taking action.
Yes. Basically, this translates to the idea that if you actually are passionate about something, really, truly, you will use everything you've got. You will stop at nothing to allow yourself to express, to act on, to mimic, to mock up, to model, to mirror. Every skill will be brought to the forefront. Every ability that you have will be sought out and utilized and applied in your life to match the frequency of the passion you say that you are passionate about. So allow yourself to go forward full steam ahead when you know you are clearly acting on your excitement. Don't hold back. Otherwise, again, you're not really committing. You're not really demonstrating to the higher mind that it's a full commitment, that you actually believe that this frequency is representative of your passion or this opportunity or this doorway. Use every skill you have as best as you possibly can, and it will accelerate you greatly. And next.
Okay. Act to the fullest degree you are able to act.
Again, this is a reinforcement of understanding that you must go all the way to the degree you are truly able to act on it. Not only bringing all the skills, but taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further. Exhaust every possible avenue. Take it all the way out. Again, if you are truly, truly passionate about something, you will stop at nothing. It will be your driving force. You will look for every nook and cranny, every doorway, every window, every path you possibly can to take it as far as you possibly can until your reality through synchronicity shows you there is simply nothing else that you can possibly do. And next.
If more than one opportunity has equal ability to be acted upon, choose either, and it will show you whether or not to continue down that path.
Again, through synchronicity, the idea is that if it seems to be that there are equal opportunities with equal abilities and equal excitement, it really won't matter which one you choose first. You might as well just flip a coin. Because if it is not the path of least resistance for you, it will be self-contained within the toolkit of excitement, and something will happen synchronistically to demonstrate to you that that wasn't necessarily the choice that serves you best. That ability, that reflectivity is built into, automatically built into every single opportunity that you act on if it is being acted on to the best of your ability from your highest excitement. And using the coin analogy, we are serious about that because sometimes the idea is you don't really know which one might be representative of your highest excitement sometimes until you actually flip the coin. You may think they're equal, but sometimes when you flip a coin and say, all right, if it's heads, I'll take path A. If it's tails, I'll take path B. And you flip it and it comes up tails and you go, oh, path B, oh darn, I really wanted path A. You will reveal to yourself in that coin flip what really contains more excitement. But if after even the flipping of the coin they still seem equal, then again, it doesn't really matter which path you take. For if it is not the path of least resistance, if it is not the path that serves you best at that moment, it will contain what it needs to contain to reflect to you that you need to choose the other path, because this is an automatic guidance system. It is an automatic self-perpetuating, self-guiding system, self-correcting system. It contains everything that you need. So you can utilize it that way as well. And next.
Keep acting on it until you have no more ability to act.
Again, take it as far as you can until you can take it no further. And again, be clear about the idea of what it means to have an ability to act on something. And this is where we get into some of the other definitions in this segment, is there are many different interpretations on your planet in people's minds about what it means to have the ability to act on something. So let's continue with the clarification.
When you can act no further, choose the next most exciting thing you are.
Which kind of negative belief systems are behind the emotions of suffering, longing, and feelings of loss involved with unrequited love? What can one do in order to transform so that there's only love left? And what if one is emotionally detached, but the other person is in love and is suffering because of it? What can you do in order to alleviate suffering?
First and foremost, in any form of relationship, make absolutely no assumption about what the relationship is about. You don't know what it's about. No matter how strong it feels, no matter how strong the attraction, that doesn't tell you what the relationship is in your life for, because it can still serve many different purposes, even if you are absolutely attracted, magnetically attracted to someone, doesn't mean that it is a particular kind of societal assumption of what that relationship should look like in terms of how it plays out physiologically. So the idea is to drop all your assumptions and let the relationship show you what it is. And the idea of pain and suffering in any love relationship, again, may have to do with beliefs in lack of worthiness, or simply definitions you have about what those connections mean that actually are not real in that sense, that are not relevant for what the relationship actually is. So we would simply always encourage you to really clarify what definitions you have about what you think any relationship is supposed to be, because they're all basically for the purpose of reflecting to you what you need to know to be more in love with yourself and all that is, which will then give you more reflections of connection to other people as well in a more positive sense. But all suffering and all pain is generally the result of the resistance to your true self, your natural self, and the imposition of belief systems and definitions that are out of alignment with who you truly are.
Okay. How can I remain as my true, unconditional, loving self when my egoic self pops up and is very convincing as real? When I'm in a flow state, I can't see how I could forget my ego, and yet it comes and goes just like everything else somehow.
What you're referring to is the negative ego. You will never lose the ego as long as you're physical, because the ego is the physical personality that allows you to have a physical experience. So it's not about losing the ego, it's about defining yourself as in alignment with it and letting it do its job, which is just to focus you on having an experience in physical reality terms. But the idea of making it in control, having it be a controlling factor, like you have to know what's going to happen, you have to know what kind of outcome is going to happen for you to feel like you're in control, and so on and so forth, is not the focus that it was designed to have. Its only focus as a typical natural ego structure, a physical personality structure, is to give you an experience of physical reality. So the idea is to go with your flow, knowing that the ego, being allowed to do the job it was designed to do, will simply give you the opportunity to experience what's happening but the ego is not designed to know what's going to happen. That's the purview, shall we say, of the higher mind.
So interesting. I act on my passions every moment I can, but lately I've noticed that I have expectations. How can I help myself to not have expectations? And what negative beliefs would I be holding on to by having expectations?
Expectations may be too general of a term because you can always expect something is going to happen. There's always a consequence to an action or a choice. What we are refining that definition to be is not having insistences or assumptions, not just general expectations. The idea of insistence means, again, you do not trust the way your life unfolds and what it brings you as being the thing you actually need, and think from the negative ego that you know best what the outcome should actually look like, when in fact it may not need to look like that at all for you to be truly served. So it's about dropping the assumptions as to what's supposed to happen, insistences on what you think should happen, and simply expect that what needs to happen will happen, and then how you respond to it will be exactly the measure of how much you have let go of any insistence on the outcome.
So how will I know if I'm actually following my excitement or I'm just avoiding fears?
Well, again, you have to be honest in your self-examination. If it comes right down to it, pretty much everyone knows the difference between excitement and anxiety. You simply have to be honest about why you would be afraid of something, why you might be anxious about something, by letting yourself feel that feeling and not dismissing it, not disguising it, not dampening it. If you are anxious, let yourself feel it so that it's clear that you're coming from a fear-based belief, and then you have something to work with. So honesty and willingness to experience the emotions as they come up and own them, because if you don't own them, you can't change them. Acknowledge them for what they are clearly, without fear, and then you will be able to examine and discern the difference between true excitement and anxiety very easily. You just have to be honest within yourself about what it is you're experiencing and examine whether or not you are running from something or running to something.
Couldn't your negative ego delude you into thinking that what is actually your passion is not, and make you think you're running from fear, based on whether you're more like a self-critical person that would lean towards finding fault with yourself, with the way that you're following your passion? You don't understand what I'm saying?
Yes, but again, the idea is that's relatively temporary if you are open and willing to have an honest discussion with yourself about what it is you're actually experiencing. Always take a moment to stop. You don't have to rush headlong forward in anything. You can take a moment and examine your choices to find out whether that choice is based on a positive or a negative belief. Take that time. That's what that time is for. You don't have to rush ahead. So you will have the discernment if you understand that you're always willing to be open and honest with yourself and take the time to examine why you are choosing what you're choosing. That's the key. Why am I choosing this?
How can I find out my belief system behind a situation? I understand honesty is very important, and I'm completely honest and willing to explore myself. But I always go into some loop when finding answers, and I don't know how to break the loop. How can I break that loop of trying to find out what is my hidden belief system?
Explore the loop itself. In other words, the loop itself is obviously a fear-based belief system perpetuating itself and preventing you from moving forward. Therefore, you must be getting something out of it. The belief system within you must, in a sense, be convincing you that you're getting something out of looping. So ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I stop looping? What am I getting out of looping? It's obviously a procrastination mechanism. So again, it still takes honest self-examination, but the subject of the examination is the concept of the loop itself. It doesn't happen automatically. You have been convinced by some fear-based belief system that you should loop. It's not out of your control.
It may feel like it, but it's not. It's a choice you're making to continue looping because you're afraid that if you stop looping, something worse will happen. So take that stance and explore what you believe might be worse if in fact you didn't loop at all.
Is that essentially the same thing as like ruminating, where something happens, a person gets upset, and they just keep replaying it over and over and over in their mind?
Yes. It's preventing them from moving forward because they have chosen to be in a loop of rumination. That should be your first clue that you're afraid that something worse will happen if you stopped doing that. It doesn't mean something will happen. It just means you're afraid that it will.
Okay. How do I know the difference between a limiting belief system that is using my emotions and thoughts versus my actual thoughts and emotions that come through my heart?
Again, we have answered this.
Okay.
You have simple, self-honest examination, and when you are willing to be open to that and truly clear and transparent within yourself, it's very easy to tell the difference between why you choose to do something and whether that is from fear and anxiety or from true excitement. Ask yourself, why am I choosing this? Why? How does this experience, even the negative one, serve me? Do I believe it safeguards me from something worse? You have to ask these questions of yourself, and you have to answer them honestly.
So another question is, real anger is around 15 seconds, right? And then after that, it turns into judgment, basically.
Yes.
So how about other emotions like sorrow, sadness, shame, being hurt, and all that when you're continuing to experience that beyond, let's say, 15 seconds?
All the same. It's all the same mechanism. And perhaps the idea, again, is better expressed as alignment. So guilt, shame, these things, again, are simply emotional components that in the natural state are simply matters of recognizing the difference between true alignment and how far out of alignment you may be based on the choices you made. It only takes about 15 seconds to have that sensation course through you and recognize that what that is a measurement of the difference between alignment and misalignment. That's all that sensation is. You're out of alignment. Therefore, if it lingers beyond the 15-second mark, you have already added self-judgment to it, gone into beliefs of lack of self-worth, lack of capability, so on and so forth. All of those experiences are simply a rush of energy that gives you the difference between alignment and misalignment so that you can choose to realign yourself or you can choose to wallow in self-judgment.
So actually what you just pointed out is that there's almost like a process of going into a downward spiral. It's like each step, once you buy into a negative belief at one level, then it takes you down to yet another level.
Yes, it's like an elevator. You've pressed the down button instead of pressing the up button.
But in terms of something like grieving, that would be a little different in terms of not...
It's a little different, but not much. It's still utilizing a similar mechanism because, as I said, the only reason you really grieve is that you have a definition that you've lost something, that it's truly been separated from you, and that there's no connection remaining. If you change that definition, you would experience something quite different. So it may be slightly different as an expression, but it still utilizes the same mechanism. The definitions are creating a misalignment with what is true.
And so in the future, when we have stronger connection to those that have passed over, will we be able to just talk to them in our heads as if they're standing there, or will it be something where we do it through a device?
It can be any number of mechanisms. Ultimately, it can simply be you're talking to them because you can see and hear them, because you're matching a frequency that they exist on in their particular realm.
So then the only other barrier perhaps would be the idea that you cannot physically touch the person, or you don't...
Even that is not necessarily true. As we exist in our civilization, as what we are terming quasi-physical beings,
means we have traits of both physical and non-physical reality. Spirits can touch us and we can touch them.
Wow.
It's a matter of realigning your frequency.
So you mean we could actually get to the point where, for example, the person who lost their daughter would actually be able to feel that they're in a one-on-one communication, talking and being able to hug? Or
yes, if you look at your literature about the idea of what you call ghosts, you will find that there are many references to beings that seem so solid, people on your planet don't even know they're looking at a spirit. So it depends on the reasons for that, and we're not going to go into that at the moment. But clearly, in your literature and in your accounting of such meetings, you do have a listing of experiences where people couldn't even tell that they were speaking to a ghost.
And that would just change our whole process of once we get to that point, grieving will be unnecessary, I suppose.
Yes, but of course, it's really backwards. Once you change to that point, grieving will be unnecessary.
I see. According to our scientists, the Earth's core is iron nickel sphere. So does that mean that Earthlings have an iron heart? And in your opinion, what is the strangest material you've discovered at the core of a planet in our physical universe? And what did it mean for the life forms there?
The idea, of course, is that you do have iron in your blood and your blood passes through your heart. In that sense, you could say, yes, you have an iron heart, energetically speaking. The most interesting substance we have found at the core of a physical planet is neutronium. The idea of everything being packed so tightly that it becomes neutral without a positive or a negative charge. The life forms that are connected to that particular world are unlike anything that you might understand and exist on a level of quantum fluctuations.
Certainly is an interesting universe, isn't it?
Yes.
And you would know because you've seen a lot more of it than perhaps we have.
I've seen a little more than you have, but I have seen nothing but a fraction of what exists.
Wow. And is Earth just an amazingly unique planet in terms of all the animals and life that's here? I mean, how do you all view that?
Everything is unique.
Yes.
You are differently unique, yes, than any other world. There are worlds that are somewhat similar to yours. You are similar to them. But again, not identical. Unless you're looking at the idea of parallel realities in which another Earth may be so similar that you can't tell the difference. It might be only different literally by one subatomic particle. Still a different universe. So there can be those that look almost identical where you cannot tell the difference, and there are those that are so radically different you wouldn't even know that it's still considered to be Earth.
You've said on several occasions that everything is made out of love. If that's true, does that mean that even the greatest criminals and sadists are made out of love? And how can love produce such hatred, cruelty, and oppression? Please
Because
explain
love,
how.
true love, is unconditional, remember? That is the essential vibration of existence. You simply translate that as unconditional love in your language. But the key word is unconditional. Therefore, it's simply a matter of everything being made out of that vibration, harmonizing with that vibration, but because you are experiencing yourself as an individuated consciousness in physical reality that can be built upon filters and belief systems, you don't necessarily experience it that way because you don't necessarily know how to align with it because you haven't been taught how to do so. So even the idea of someone you would consider to be a criminal may be acting, quote unquote, out of love in their true intention, but they may have no way of understanding how to actually express that in an aligned and harmonious way because they don't have the tools. They haven't been taught how to do that. So their actions, to the best of their ability, may be being done out of a distorted sense of love or self-love. But again, it's not necessarily a holistic expression, a unifying and harmonizing expression of the idea of the basic fundamental unconditional vibration of existence itself. Because you have the freedom to choose, because things are unconditional, how to express the idea of the love of which you're made, of the vibrational existence of which you are made.
And the idea of bringing heaven to earth. Can you share some more with us about how that relates to the heart and
well, again,
the experience we're having here?
Yes. When you clear out the negative vibrations, the definitions in your belief systems that are not relevant for you as a being in your true sense, then the vibration, message, communication from the higher mind will go to the heart as it does and be reflected to a physical mind that is now clear and transparent and free of any distortions in its belief system. And by doing that, you radiate then to all parts of your body and outward through your electromagnetic aura that vibration of purity and alignment and clarity that comes more directly from the higher mind to the heart to now a physical mind that is a transmitter in a pure sense. Thus then that can, by example, allow others to sense that vibration, and if they so choose, start to match that vibration because now they're being given an opportunity to do so. And that can help alleviate the idea of any distortions by at least providing the option of a clear vibration to others in much the same way that the unconditional love of our civilization is offered to you, but you still have to be the ones to agree to harmonize and match that frequency. Thus, our vibration and our sharing is unconditional. It's up to you to match it. And we would not necessarily have been giving information to you for the last 38 of your years had not some of you at least decided to match it and be living examples of that frequency. That doesn't mean that you have to exactly be like us or do exactly as we do. It simply means that you were willing to let go of all those things that aren't truly you, that are your challenges, your themes of exploration in this particular life to get to know yourself from a new point of view, and have let go of the need now to do that because you are now more willing to be your true self just on its own merit. And thus then you have elevated the frequency of your entire world and given many people more of an opportunity, as you align with any source of unconditional love, to allow themselves to align with those sources as well, whatever they may be, whatever works for them, and increase the likelihood and the probability of more people choosing to navigate themselves through different parallel versions of Earth over and over to ones that are more and more reflective, like a mirror, of the vibrational choices you have made to be in harmony and in alignment with the unconditional love of all that is.